Hey everybody, I'm JJ, you're watching Reality Survival, and so today we are going to talk about the very controversial Bearfak 3.0. Now this kit was sent to me by Bear, and he asked me to do a review on it, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons as I see them, and all that kind of stuff. Now some of you guys who might be watching this show, or watching this video here, may be new to the channel. About 90% of people who watch the channel are not subscribed. So if you want to learn a little bit more about disaster preparedness, living a more self-sufficient lifestyle, homesteading, those kind of things, then go ahead and click the subscribe button and ring that bell notification so that you get notified each time we put up a video. Now, if you're not real familiar with a blowout kit or a trauma kit, then you might be asking yourself, well, I'm not some kind of a weekend commando. Why do I need a first aid kit like that, or a blowout kit, or a trauma kit? I'm just a regular dude. Well, then I would ask you, you don't have to be a super stellar warrior or Grand Thumb or any of those kind of things. You really just need to be somebody who wants to be able to help people if they find themselves in a bad situation, and or more importantly, take care of yourself if something bad happens. Bad things happen to people all the time, all around the world. You can get serious traumatic car accidents. You can get home defense kind of situations. There's just a lot of different things that can happen that could require just a normal Joe to have a good first aid kit to be able to deal with serious bleeding and significant trauma and stuff like that. I would be willing to bet that most people who watch this channel probably have a home defense weapon to defend your home. But how many of you guys don't have a trauma kit someplace close by, in your bedroom or somewhere easily accessible, so that if you were in a home defense situation and you ended up getting shot, or one of your family members ended up getting shot, would you be ready to handle a gunshot wound or something like that, in a moment's notice, or in a fairly short time frame? Because a lot of people have regular first aid kits in their house, and they've got boo-boo Band-Aids and all that kind of stuff, but most people probably don't have a tourniquet accessory, readily available or handy. And so I think you should think about that, because there can be situations happen where you get traumatic instances and you need to control major bleeding and all that kind of stuff, and that's what these kits are really designed to do. So with that, let's go ahead and get into this. We'll start with the outside of it, and we'll just kind of work our way in. So on the outside here, I will say that Bear put all the additional add-ons in this kit, so I think this is the kit like as fully stocked as it can get. Okay, and it's full. Trust me, it's really full. So the first thing is a set of North American Rescue shears. Now these are pretty good shears. They're probably gonna last for a couple of incidents or whatever. They're not a one-time use, but they're not like a really extreme long-term use, as I understand it. Next thing we have here is a combat application tourniquet. Now these are distributed here in the States by North American Rescue, and what was holding it on is this little, it's like a black elastic loop, and it does a pretty good job of holding it on there. And it's kind of just on a couple of pieces of moly webbing on each side for each one of those to go into. Now with the Gen 7 combat application tourniquet, they're really good tourniquets. What you want to do when you are looking at tourniquets is you want to make sure that it says CAT. See if I can get that to focus for you, right there on the windlass. Okay. And then same thing on the back. You'll also have it written out on the back there as well. If you're not seeing that, you might be getting a counterfeit. And so you want to make sure that you don't get a counterfeit, because they're not as strong, they're not built as well, and all that kind of stuff. So then we've got patch on the front. Refuge Medical. You can go over to refugemedical.com and check out all his kits. I did a review previously of the wound care kit that comes in a 5-gallon bucket. That's a really, really great thing to have if you would ever expect to have to deal with aftercare for an injury. So, say something bad happened, somebody got really hurt, and you're having to care for them on your own at your home. This has tons of gauze and tape and everything that you need for taking care of wounds after the fact, because that's something not a lot of people think about. Also, Bear did offer you guys a 10% coupon to where if you use the discount code Reality Survival, pretty sure that's what it is, I'll throw it down in here, then you can save 10% off the order over at Refuge Medical, and I'm pretty sure that's site-wide, so anything you want there. Okay, so I've watched a couple of videos on these, seen Bear talk about them a few times, and one thing that struck me when I was watching them from like the Generation 1 and so forth as they've come out, this is the Gen 3, he talked about how good the pouches were, and I don't think the video quite lined up with. It didn't adequately describe how good these pouches are. That's what I'm trying to say here, because I was a little skeptical, on how good is the pouch really, when he was talking about it. And now that I've had a chance to look at it, I can tell you that I think a significant portion of the value of this kit is in the design of the pouch and the inner container. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So first off, it's got a real good Velcro top, and a nice patch on there and a good handle, good little tug so you can pull it off there, and it fits very snugly over the top of everything. All right, so that's kind of step one. And actually, before I get too far here, let me back up and show you the straps for the MOLLE webbing. So these here are flexible. They're basically like nylon strapping, and I actually like that because it makes it fairly easy to weave through the multiple layers of PALS webbing or MOLLE webbing back here. Now I don't have any experience with these little plastic clips on how strong they are, but if you put the webbing on appropriately and you weave it through whatever you're attaching it to, there's very little stress put on these ends, so I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. All right, so here we go with the second portion of this. This is now empty, and you can see that it's got like an elastic kind of feel to it there, so it keeps it all nice and tight. And then you have the whole module that comes out. So if you have this attached to a plate carrier or to a backpack or something along those lines, or even the back of your car, maybe on a MOLLE panel on the back of your car or something like that, you can just rip the module out and then take that to the scene and go ahead and start working whatever the issue is. So I think that is a really, really good design. Next thing here on top is a SWAT T tourniquet, stretch, wrap, and tuck tourniquet. So that's just sitting on the top here. Now, one of the things that I would suggest to Bear on this kit is perhaps offer an ACE bandage alternative as opposed to the SWAT T. And maybe he has that on his website, I might be wrong, but an ACE bandage would go really well into here, and those can be used with pressure bandages and all that kind of stuff, but also for sprains and those kinds of things, because those types of injuries are pretty common when you're out rucking, especially if you're carrying a heavy pack and plate carriers. I know I sprained my ankle in Afghanistan once because it was just rocky, nasty terrain and all that kind of stuff, and it would have been cool, having an ACE bandage or whatever to kind of wrap it up. But anyway, not a big deal either way. You could replace that yourself if you wanted to, and it's just kind of sized perfectly to hold an ace bandage right there. So just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, now we get into the inside of this, and this is where the real value in this kit comes from. I'm not familiar with any other blowout kit or first aid kit that has a as comprehensively designed inner pouch as what this does, and it's really pretty cool. Okay, so we'll take this apart one by one. We've got some 1-inch tape. All right, that's great, and it'll take me about an hour and a half to put this all back in, because it's like you got to be a magic elf, you know, to get this stuff packed right. But anyway, all right. So then we've got a set of North American Rescue tan gloves. That's good. Tan is good because it's a little better than black because it'll show blood and stuff like that better. So that's a good thing to have in there. Then we've got another combat application tourniquet, Gen 7, on the inside. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, why do you need 2 tourniquets? That's silly, you only need 1. That is not true. I don't know what the actual percentages are, but it's a fairly significant percentage of instances when you apply a tourniquet many times, you have to put another one on and put one behind it. Now, and so it's not always a one and done kind of thing. You really have to look at the specific type of injury and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you need to put 2 on there, and or you could have multiple injuries that require a different tourniquet. So this is a lot of flexibility here in this kit that's going to allow you to even, you know, treat multiple wounds or multiple patients. So that's pretty cool and well thought out. Here's something else that's good. Little Sharpie for writing the time that the tourniquet was applied. It used to be they'd say that, you know, tourniquets can only be on for an hour. Then it went to 2. Then I think the last class that I took, the last TCCC class I took from the U.S. Marshals, said it was 6 hours. Now, some people might say it's even longer than that now. I don't know. The time, you know, keeps getting further and further. But the bottom line is that you do want to go ahead and mark on the time because it does matter. But it is a significant period of time that you can wear a tourniquet if it's, you know, if it's necessary. So that's a good thing. Okay, so the next thing we have here is the air release system. It's a 14 gauge, 3.25 inch needle decompression kit. Now, this is a great thing to have because the vast majority of first aid, trauma kits and blowout kits that I have seen on the market do not include this. And you can't just find these anywhere. You can occasionally get them on Amazon and stuff if they're in stock, but you got to buy a certain kit. It's kind of expensive, and I think it's really awesome that they include these in the kit. Here's the deal: you do need to know how to apply these, how to use them. Go and get some first aid training so that you know for sure, because I am not a medical professional. But what I remember just off the top of my head is, I want to say it's 3 fingers below the clavicle at the, what is it, they called it the second, is it like called the second intercostal rib or something like that? Right on the nipple line. I think that's where it's at from what I can remember, but again, I'm not a medical professional, don't trust me. Go take one of Bear's classes. He teaches lots of classes. He goes to different locations and teaches all kinds of people. I think he said they taught 1,000 people last year, and they can talk about all this stuff, or whatever. But I'm not the pro that can teach you that. So anyway, all right. The next thing in the list here is a North American Rescue Emergency Trauma Bandage, 6-inch. Okay. It's So that is awesome, because the trauma bandage is probably, it's kind of like the Leatherman of first aid kit things. You can really use a trauma bandage for a lot of different issues, a lot of different wounds, and they cover just a really wide spectrum of things. Here's something else that's pretty cool about this kit. Made in the USA. I think it's by Sojourn Gear, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it's awesome that that he's using made in the USA stuff where possible, instead of having it outsourced, to China or something like that. So that's cool. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the top pouch that's back behind the first panel here. So we're going to break this out, take a look, see what we got in here. Second set of shears in there. Again, I think the other one was an upgrade. Then we've got 2 5x9 abdominal pads. Also, really good thing to have in here. Most first aid and trauma kits do not have a variety of different sizes of gauze in there. Usually, you just see the Z-fold gauze, and that's it. So we've got some absorbent 5x9 trauma pads. That's good. Then we've got a set of high-fin vent chest seals. Perfect. That's for gunshot wounds where you have to be able to burp the wound and let the air escape and everything like that. So that's awesome. Here's another thing you don't see in many trauma kits is burn tech and first aid for burns. It's basically a bandage, that you're going to be able to use for dressing, I should say, that you're going to be able to use for burns. Now, burns are really common in significant trauma kind of situations, especially, for like military folks where you're looking at explosions and landmines and, all that kind of stuff. Or it can even happen in car wrecks and all those kind of things. You could get burns and stuff. So that is commonly overlooked in a lot of trauma kits, in my opinion. Next thing we've got here is a nasal pharyngeal airway and some lube. I think it's the 28, which is the most common size. I have a video up on YouTube showing me put one of these into myself on camera. You should watch it, or I'll try to link it below. It's hilarious because I'm like freaking crying and trying to get it to go in. It's awful. But it's good to know how to do it, though. That's the thing, is it's really good to know how to put one of these in there, and if you've done it, then you can, you have an idea of how to use it. Very, very useful in establishing an airway, though. Very important part of first aid. Okay, so that's all for the back pouch. Now we're going to move to the bottom pouch right here, and there is a bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so the first thing that we've come to is a little smaller thing of quick clot bleeding control dressing, and it's just, I think this pack is just slightly smaller than the camouflage one you see in a lot of them. It's rolled 3-inch by 4-foot hemostatic dressing, so that is awesome. Definitely want that for controlling bleeding. Now, in many first aid or many trauma kits that you find on the internet, that's about, like, what we've already covered is probably all you're going to really see. So this has a whole lot more stuff, with some exceptions here. We'll see how it goes here. All right, so triangular bandage, excellent for dealing with, for making a sling and swath. You can also use it to make a pressure bandage. Just a lot of uses for these. You can use it for packing material on top of other gauze if you had to. Lots of stuff. You got yet another roll of conforming stretch gauze bandage. For wrapping up maybe a head wound or something along those lines. Who knows? Also, we have a survival blanket for managing hypothermia, which is in shock, which is really important. Then this is the other thing that you will see in other kits, which is a compressed gauze or Z-folded gauze. That's a pretty common thing to see in first aid kits. Then we've got some flat folded duct tape, which is also useful. Then we have another 5x9 abdominal pad. Then we have 2 4x4 gauze pads. So see, what I do like about this kit is that it's not just gunshot wounds, right? It's not just massive bleeding that you can treat. You can treat a lot of smaller regular lacerations and boo-boos and ouches and all that kind of stuff. You know, you get a big cut on your hand or whatever, you know, you can take one of these 4x4s and double it over and tape it on there with some duct tape and be fine, you know, and you don't have to get into all the rest of the kit and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. Now then we've got what is it here? We've got one iPad, gauze iPad, and then we have 2 2x2s gauze. Then we've got an eye cup for dealing with eye injuries. Those are also very common when it comes to, especially in a military setting or a combat type setting and that kind of thing, where you have stuff, you know, flying out and getting, you know, eye injuries. Those are very common. And then we've got looks like 6 BZK antiseptic towelettes, and these are, if I remember correctly, the best wipes for wiping your skin and getting them prepped for bandages, so that the tape will stick and all that kind of stuff, you know, and it just helps the adhesion there. So that is the kit. That's the whole thing. I'm going to lay this out. I'll give you guys a little bit of a look at it, kind of just laying out so you can see all the stuff. But it's a lot of stuff. It really, really is. And like I said, I think not only does the kit, is it well stocked, it has all the major things that somebody would probably need. Like I said, the only thing that I could see that I would probably change out if it was my own version would be like an ACE bandage instead of the SWAT T. Since I've already got the 2 cat tourniquets, I would probably go with an ACE in there. But that's just, you know, that's just my thing. So that's been all the pros, right? I've pretty much kind of laid them all out there. What do I think are some of the cons with this kit? Well, the biggest thing is going to be, it's really hard to get back in. It's really tough, man. I mean, it's like fitting all that stuff into this little pouch is seriously like some kind of I don't know, some kind of small miracle, because it is tight. Like, you really, really have to get it in there tight. If I could make one little tiny suggestion on the packaging, what it would be is that this loop, just this flap, basically, this flap is just, if it were just like an inch longer, where it came up just a little bit more and had that Velcro on there, so that when you're trying to push all this stuff together, you could make it connect a little bit better, then I think it would be a home run. I mean, well, it's already a home run, but it would be like a grand slam. I really like it though. I think it's a good value, and you guys should go over to his website, refugemedical.com, and check it out. And again, use the discount code RealitySurvival, and that'll save you 10%. You're not going to be disappointed with this. It's a good kit for real. And I would, you know, I've been out there, deployed multiple times myself, and I would absolutely take one of these kits with me out on a deployment. No question. I wouldn't have any question in my mind about doing that. It's all good stuff. It's all good gear, and it really covers a wide variety of things. And in fact, I think it probably covers more situations than the kits that I carried when I was deployed. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to live 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. And if you guys are on Getter, hit me up at Reality Survival on Getter. And before I go, I do also want to talk about a channel sponsor that I recently hooked up with that I think is a really, really good deal, and that is On Scene Alerts. Now, Mike Judy is the CEO of On Scene Alerts, He is a former DHS analyst. He's a crisis manager. He has a lot of experience in that whole realm of watching developing and ongoing situations and threat situations and all that kind of stuff. And he started this company where he'll send you alerts out to your phone. He has a team of people that work with him. They verify all the information before they send anything out to make sure it is real. They'll send you text messages if it's an ongoing threat situation like an active shooter or a chemical leak or whatever the case may be. You can add multiple family members to those alerts so that they would all know about it too for just one membership. And then they also give you a global intelligence briefing into your inbox every day. And that is one of the favorite things I look forward to every morning when I wake up, to read that briefing, because he's got national stuff that he's monitoring, developing situations and situational awareness kind of things. And then he's also got international stuff as well. And I'm telling you what, with all the stuff that's going on around the world right now, Turkey and the United States, or Russia, Ukraine, China, all that jazz, Kazakhstan, if you're reading his briefing every day, he'll keep you up to date on a lot of that stuff. You're gonna be surprised by how much you know about what's going on, both here and around the world. I think they monitor 50. There's like 50 things that they kind of monitor, the kind of topics that they monitor, and it's usually 6 to 10 pages in a PDF every day. I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive thing. So if you sign up over there, I'll put a link in the description below, and that will save you 30%. You can get 30 days free. He added a PayPal portal, so if you don't want to add your credit card information, you can use the PayPal portal, and it'll save you 30%. So it'll only be $7 a month, and $2 of that will come back to me for 5 years. So you'll be supporting the channel over here if you decide to sign up for that, and I sure appreciate it. So anyway, guys, take care, and we'll see you on another video here shortly.